Oh, good afternoon or good evening if you're overseas. This is Bruce, aka the guy in the blue shirt. My method is simpler, faster, better, or sometimes I get called a process fixer or some other fixer, right? And Tisha Marie Pelletier, we were kind of laughing offline, so excuse us. We already got the giggles. So, Tisha Marie Pelletier, hi, fellow biz bestie here in the East Valley.
Hey, Bruce. Happy 250th episode. Very
Oh
exciting.
God, I forgot that piece. Talk about oversight on branding basics. I need to go back to school, obviously.
I was like, I'll bail you out. I'll tell everyone it's our 250th.
Hey, you always do. So so yeah, I always love to give actually context of how people end up on my show, and this is Tisha's actually a returning guest, but it was a long time ago that you helped me out in my early days of being a live stream host. But so I always like to go over, I'm pretty passionate about process, as people know. And I
hmm
have a process for most things, as you know, Tisha. You've
hmm
seen me in action. But I always like to remind people what I call the four C's. And it really brings in the context of how, if you are in the audience, live or replay, and you want to be a live stream guest, then you're going to get here by following what I call the four C's. And we're great examples, right? We had a connection or a conversation offline, which, I think we ended up meeting through, I think it was Tisha Hammond's commenting, cross commenting another Tisha. And then I don't know if you remember the specifics, but, we had a conversation that we ended up connecting. And then, through that connection, when I was actually looked like I was going to be moving to the area, you helped me not only really exercise the value of that connection, but you helped me integrate into this community. So, conversation, connection, community. And then more importantly, once you rapidly incepted me into this beautiful community here, we realized there were some great areas for opportunity to collaborate. So that's the four C's. And fifth C is context, right? So that's the context. So yeah, so if you want to be a LinkedIn live stream guest with me, if you can show me you do the four C's real good, which I know you do splendidly, Tisha, then you're probably going to be a good person to be on my show.
I love it. And I know Yolanda is tuning in. So hello. She's even giving some thumbs up for your four C's. And I really
Right.
think that that's the most important thing is we jump on these platforms, Bruce. And if you follow those four C's, you will have some success on this and you will get to meet the right types of people. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, and actually, more importantly, you'll also get to unmeet the people that are not going to be of any value for you, either personally or definitely won't promote your brand, right? So,
hmm hmm
we said we'd intermingle our own connection and our own experiences around brand and whatever. And, and I've been very successful in using you to help me, right? and that might seem selfish, but it's knowing, right? It's knowing that when you do jive with somebody and that you do have that connection, that you there's almost this unwritten language between us. I mean, I've seen you enough either at events or other opportunities where I can kind of look at you and I kind of know where you're at without really saying very much. So, and I think you do the same for me. So,
hmm Yeah. Yep. To me, that's the beauty of the connection and taking it further off of the online experience. So I think that that's what we should all be doing. Truthfully.
absolutely. And you just hosted Raquel Boris, who's a mutual who we both took a while to meet in person, but we ended up doing that. And I commented to you that your connection is very obvious, because especially since you've met her in person, um,
hmm
you can see it. You can almost feel it through the screen that you guys are really well connected. You both have similar but different personalities. It's amazing to see. So yeah, little plug for Tisha. Didn't see her Tisha talks today. You should go watch the replay. There's some unbelievable sharing and caring things that have come out of the conversation between Raquel and Tisha. And And we have youth in common, so we'll come back to that with my Path to Pits adventure this year.
Yeah, fun. Okay.
Yeah, so tell us. All right, so I'm going to pick your brain a little bit on branding, not only
Sure.
selfishly as a refresher, but also, maybe a different spin because you've been doing this for a long time, and you've changed up some of your approaches, which is, as you learn things, lessons learned are always good, and it helps you get better and better. So what's your definition of a personal brand, Tisha? Let's go right back to basics. What's brand basics? What's it all about?
I really feel like your personal brand stems to really who you are in a nutshell, to the core.
Right.
And what you put out is what you want people to perceive of you. So it's always that great question. Kind of, you can use it interchangeably with reputation, but when you're not in the room, what do people say about you? How are people describing you? And are they right? Is what they're saying about you, is that what you want them to say about you, or how they want you to perceive them to perceive you?
Right.
And so I always say that with branding is, if people are saying something about you and you're like, that's not really me, then we've got to change the dialogue. Or
Right.
like you said, I like how you said, or you can unmeet the people that you don't want in your corner. Perhaps those people aren't your people anyway. And that was a really big lesson learned for me just over the years, Bruce, of not everybody's going to jive. I know you love
Right.
that word, your jive
Yeah.
hive. Not everybody's
Jive
going
hive.
to jive with you. And you have to be willing to accept that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and vice versa. And you really just got to focus on the people that you really want to surround yourself with.
Yeah. And, and all sorts of other wild thoughts come from that. So, I don't know about you, but you've done a great job of one of branding basics, whether it's personal or a bigger picture brand, is that memorability, right? And so it's not only what do people say in a room when you're not there, that's what they talk about, right? It's, how do they remember you, right? And so what are some of your thoughts on, building memorability? I mean, we each have our own personal story around that, which is how we ended up with a few of our different hashtags. But so yeah, tell us a little bit about the memorability piece. What's that?
Right. And speaking of your hashtag, hashtag the guy in the blue shirt, that is the brand, right? I mean, you can see it. You're wearing blue, everything is blue, you show up in blue, and so you've done such a great job. And I use you as an example a lot of times in my talks, Bruce, because I'm like, that was such a simple thing to stand out and be memorable. And I mean, I could have shown up today in a black shirt. And I always say that one of the simplest things you can do is when you're going to events, and I know a lot of us are business owners and we're going to events, is to really do something, wear something that really does make you stand out. Like people will remember. Like I went to a networking event the other day, and there was this gentleman, Ramon Loans, his hashtag Ramon Loans. So he's a mortgage broker. And he was wearing a bow tie, and he was very dapper, and he had cool shoes on and this really colorful bow tie and suspenders. And he wears that when he goes to events. And it's very noticeable that that's his appearance. That's his brand. And that's what I always say to people. I'm like, don't try to be the person that tries to blend in. The blending in would be, I'm just going to play it safe. I'm going to wear a black shirt, black slacks, black shoes, whatever, and just blend in with the crowd. But could you wear something that's a little bit more bright, colorful, patterned, that gets you noticed, that gets people going, oh, she's really standing out in the room. So you can see I'm wearing my brand color today. I'm wearing fuchsia, which is, I love this color. You'll see it. It's in my logo. I have it in all my car videos and so forth, and even on my Tisha talks. But just things like that are some simple ways. The other thing I want to say, and hey, shout out to Royce Blake.
Yeah, I was just about, I
people.
saw that too.
Yeah, the guy in the blue shirt and Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman, we could go into a whole story about that. But one thing, and we have a mutual friend, Jeanette Coloroso, out in California. And I want to say what Jeanette said, because to me, it was a very powerful compliment. And Jeanette actually says very, very much that I was the one who inspired her to get on LinkedIn, because when I first met her, she didn't really have a profile. She wasn't really
Right.
doing a whole lot. But she came across one of my convos in my Camry, which is a video I do every single Friday, like clockwork, unless I'm
Hmm.
traveling. And she said this to me when I was meeting with her and Robert Bostick-Quick and Stephen
Right.
Liu. And she said, you know what, Tisha, can I say that one thing that you've done is you've stayed the course and you've stayed consistent with one thing. You haven't tried to add all these things to be all things to all people. You've just said, what's important to me and what can I do every single week, once a week.
Right.
And I really like that, because I think we get onto these platforms and we're like, we have to be all things to all people. We have to do as much as we can. We have to be these crazy content creators. And I'm like, why? For what? Can you manage that? And so, to Junette's point, she was really coming to me with this kind of cry for help, like, I'm really burnt out. That's why I
Hmm.
got off. That's why I stopped everything cold turkey. And she's like, but you keep coming back and you keep showing up at the same time and the same day. And, and you're always in the car and people still remember that from you.
Right. Yeah,
And
so it's that
yeah,
repeatability, right? And it's patternability, right?
patterns.
We subtly create patterns for people, or we learn patterns from other people that
Yeah.
we don't even know that we've learned them, but we do.
Right. I mean, think about it. And Steven had said the same thing before. He's like, I know it's the weekend when you post your video because you always do it on a Friday. And I
Hmm.
love that it's a Friday, because it's kind of a calmer day for me. And it's one where I can really reflect on what happened this week or even a week ago, that I really want to talk about that story. So it's very
Hmm.
much driven by storytelling and a lesson, which is a big part of who I am. And I kind of equate it, Bruce, to think about when we had a TV guide. You remember
Right.
TV guides?
Yeah, a long time. I do. I'm old
Yeah,
enough.
before TiVo, before you could record anything. But you remember when your favorite show came on at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
at night on a Tuesday, and you're like, I have to make it back to watch that show.
Right.
I feel like it's the same thing, like you were saying. It's a pattern, or we're innately, creating this routine
Hmm.
of, I know it, and this expectation that I know when my favorite show is on. It comes on at 7 o'clock p.m. on a Tuesday night. I'm going
Hmm.
to watch it, and that's what I'm going to do. So,
Right. And
yeah.
I'd actually bridge to that. In fact, Stephen said it about linking it to a pleasurable memory as well, right? In his case, he said he knows it's the weekend. Well,
Mhm.
like so when Survivor's on, that's my catch, right? I don't watch many repeat other than IndyCar. That's a different, that's a whole
Nice.
different. That's a whole different religion. No, but so for me, people would say, well, why do you get hooked on, Survivor when Survivor's on? Because Survivor's all about strategy. And
Mhm.
strategy is pleasure for me, not all this tactical run around chasing, blah, 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 hustling people. I'm in my sweet spot, either an IndyCar race or in stratosphere doing strategy, right? So that's what I did with Survivor. Survivor became a link to something that is pleasurable. So even if I'm doing all this other stuff I don't enjoy very much, week in and week out, on a Wednesday night,
Yeah.
7 p.m., I would, and if I was traveling like you, I would record it religiously, because when I watch it, it it brings back all that joy around being in my number one talent, which is strategy and being strategic. And
Mhm.
and so, yeah, so I think linking routine or favorable behaviors to something that makes you feel good. And I know a couple of yours. Yours is about the ocean and the beach and
I
those
post a lot about the ocean and the beach.
and those few little cocktails every now and then, while you're dancing, and so people get to know a little bit more about the inner brand of Tisha, right?
Mhm.
So your fuchsia color, my blue shirt, that's the outer brand, right?
Yes.
That's just what people see, and hopefully they remember. But the inner brand is the story, right?
Mhm.
It really is the story.
And let's talk about that for a second, stories. And I love what Yolanda and Royce are saying here. But yes, she remembers TV Guide. I'm not dating
Yeah.
myself too much. Like, you guys remember, we used to have those. You used to buy
Yeah.
them just so you could see what was coming up. And you're right, people are more likely to connect with someone who they can relate to. So great point
Right.
from Yolanda as well. But I was talking to someone on LinkedIn the other day, Michelle, shout out to Michelle, and
Oh,
she
cool.
even she even sent me a message, and she is like, I remember the story you shared about having to change direction
Yeah.
after being rejected,
Hmm.
and having to go back in your past and figure out what skills you had to come back and kind of not reinvent yourself, but try something new, and it's just it's amazing to me again how people connect you with a story that you shared that
Yeah.
they're always going to remember you by.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to share is stories, colors that you wear, even being consistent, doing one thing that you can stick to. Now, I've done the lessons in my Lexus, and that was something Bruce. So again, Bruce, so good at hashtagging. He came up with lessons in my Lexus when I got the car. But one thing you've probably seen me doing, Bruce, is I started wondering, like, how could I do something motivational on Mondays
Yes.
that that was
Hmm.
really more my vibe, and it wasn't just, hey, let me post a picture of a fun saying or something motivational, because honestly, I think that's boring. I
Yeah.
think it's very boring. So I literally threw a bunch of stickers I got into a box and I picked one. And my take is one take. I don't know
Hmm.
what the sticker says. I draw it from a box and I just tell you what it is. So it's a surprise to me as it is to you. And I've gotten a really good response on that because people are like, "You don't even know what it is." I'm like, "Nope." The one thing that I started doing as well, and is actually randomly picking someone who comments and sending the sticker to them with a fun note.
Oh,
Because I'm
cool.
like, yeah. So it was my thing of, hey, if I want to spread some more light in this world, how about I do it this way? And it doesn't cost me anything except a stamp and a note card,
Right.
but it's just something different. It's unique, and it's something that I know that's A, holding me accountable, and B, it's a routine. It's something that I can do to show up.
Yeah. And so I'm going to kind of weave those two things together and actually go back to, because a lot of people say to me, well, how the heck did you come up with the guy in the blue shirt? And I tell them I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Gracie Ruth Melendez, who, I met through LinkedIn Locals, and that I've got kind of a passion for those still in a different way. Um, but I met Gracie Ruth Melendez through LinkedIn Locals in the Los Angeles area. And we got involved and we met some great people I've since met in person. People like Brian Schulman again and blah, 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 Patrick Ward,
Mm-hmm.
Gracie, I've met, several times. And it was interesting because right before COVID, Gracie and I decided to set up our own little chapters of LinkedIn Local. She set up Pasadena and I set up Santa Clarita. And we said we would help each other, mutually help each other. So I went to Gracie's and I had sponsored the finger food. And, Gracie, like when you're hosting, I get confused about what I'm supposed to say or what I'm supposed to do sometimes. And Gracie is struggling to remember my last name. And she said, "Oh, the guy in the blue shirt, sponsored the sandwiches." And after her words, I was chatting with her and she said, "Hey, why don't you put it on your profile, see what happens?" And that was like that was early 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, it took on a life of its own. But so, yeah, so the point about all that is if you can get a customer or a supplier or both, you know, really dig into what is it they think your brand is and what is it in the brand that reminds them of the story. I mean, your stories, I remember. I mean, especially some of your stories of challenge, and
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that, when you share that rawness, it's lessons learned for us all because you then think, oh, so it's not just me then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about lessons is it's something that's timely and that
Right.
people can always relate to it in some way, or they've derived at that same lesson in some different context, right? Like the lesson is always going to be there. Be kind. Okay, well there's great stories about being kind, things like that. But but it's just it's what makes you unique about the story. So I know on my live stream a couple weeks ago, I had Jen Penner on, and she was
Yeah.
talking about stories, and she was like, stories are what makes the brand impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always say, I'm like, get into more storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. So, if we had to sum it up, then it's memorability and how impactful is it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
M and I, or I and
Yeah.
M, I and M. Are you being impactful and are you memorable? How about that? Easy to remember, right?
Impactful and memorable. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Yolanda, thank you. She said that's a wonderful idea, random act of kindness. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's such a something so simple. And I'll tell you, I've sent, because I only started doing it in September around my birthday, and the people I've already given the stickers to have sent me messages right away because it wasn't
Yeah.
something they expected. It was just, you know, it was
Yeah.
good.
Well, talking of birthdays, we should shout out to BB because we both got a
Yeah.
surprise.
That was hilarious,
Oh my
Bruce.
goodness. I have not shared the video with her yet either. I'm
No.
waiting for the right moment. Anyway, how do we short tell the story? Because we met for your belated birthday, and yeah, so
Yes.
go from there. Right.
Okay. Okay. So again, shout out to BB out of Singapore. She sends me this package and she says, "Open this with Bruce."
Right.
And it was so long because this package came sometime in August for your birthday, Bruce, and I
Did.
had it, but you'd been traveling, I'd been traveling, and we never could get together to get you this package until until September.
Right.
And she's like, "You have to open it with Bruce." And I said, "Weird. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
I will open it," because I'm like, I could just leave it in his house. And I was like, fine. So I honored her wish and I said, I will open it with Bruce. And she's like, and record it. And I said,
Right.
oh, okay. So we've got to get this on video too. And so we're recording this video. And I don't think there's anything in that package for me. I'm like, this is Bruce's gift. I'm going to record it for you, Bruce, and all this. And he pulls out this gorgeous wrap that's like all these
Right.
pretty colors, these greens, yellows, pinks, very tropical, beachy. And I was like, that's so pretty, Bruce. And then we realized there's a card that says, "Oh, this one's for Tisha." Because
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I was so want to borrow that, Bruce," and you're like, "This one's for you."
Yeah, well,
And then
look, I got
she,
my yeah, well,
yeah,
I got a blue pen, right?
yeah, and then she gave you a really cool pen, blue
Yeah,
pen,
but
and
yeah,
so sweet. We were just laughing hysterically, and I was like,
yeah.
okay. I did bring that wrap though to Cancun, and it was beautiful. It matches a
Oh,
lot of my bathing suits, by the way.
yeah. You should do a return video that is not so silly by me. But oh well, it's in those moments. I mean, hey, it was late. We both had a long day, and we hadn't really had too much chocolate, even though you came for chocolate. So
And I came for a walk, so we did get exercise in before the
we
chocolate.
did, yes. Just for the health conscious people that think maybe we would just drink tea and chocolate all day long. Nope, we went for a walk.
No, we did go for a walk, but that
But
was
it right, and that's I mean, talk about community and collaboration, right? So I don't know if you remember. So what did we talk about most on the walk? I was selfish. We talked about my favorite subject, which is strategy, right? So
Mhm.
so you can do two things at once, even though you can't technically. But if you think about it, if you're stretched for time, I mean, I try and always do my phone calls when I go for my walk. If people say, "Hey, can I call you?" and it's like, I would love to be able to do that because if I can walk and talk, I'm in my happy place.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I always do the same thing. I mean, I never feel like I shared this even on the show with Raquel, that I'm always on a soccer field,
you are,
always driving somewhere, and I never feel like that's wasted time because there's always something you can do to be efficient. And
yeah,
so when I have to sit there at the kids' soccer practices, I'm got my running shoes on, I brought my yoga mat on, I got my book. Like, I take full advantage of the 2 hours I have to sit there because I'm like, I'm not going to be the person that just sits here. Like, I'm going
yeah,
to be a person who gets up and gets moving and gets a workout in or reads or
right,
does my Duolingo, and learn
sure.
Spanish. So Yeah, efficiency. It's
Yeah.
big.
Well, it's funny. My a lot of people won't agree with me here, but actually, when I'm driving, particularly when I do distance driving, I actually don't do any radio books on tape. And people say, "But Bruce, that's all a waste of time." Actually, to me, it's the best. I do my best thinking on a long drive because I don't have all the normal distractions. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have all the massive inputs that you and Raquel were talking about that's coming at our youth and even us today.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, and that is almost like my unplugging. So if I drive to
Yeah.
LA or Laguna Seca, which I recently drove back from, that's a two stint 6.5 hour drive, with a stop for work along the way. But
Yeah.
I decided that that's the way I was going to do it. So I got six
Mm-hmm.
and a half hours of unplugging and just actually thinking about the job I was going to go do in Silmar, California, and then after I'd done the job driving back to Phoenix, I got another 6 hours of unplugging to think through. Okay, how am I going to present? What I find out on behalf of my customer and blah blah blah. So yeah, don't overlook the opportunity to use your quiet drive time as unplug time
Mm-hmm.
or think time or a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm the
yeah,
same. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
Always
Yeah.
quiet time.
Anyway, you mentioned about events, so why don't you plug Social Connect first? Because we're both actively involved in local events for different reasons.
Sure, sure. So Social Connect Phoenix is coming up on October 25th, and it's from 4 to 6 p.m. And I've gotten a lot of questions because I do say it's my last call. And people are like, is that the last call for the year? And I'm like, well, yes. And it's also last call for me as well in the event space. And, I get this a lot, Bruce. Like, people are like, but you're so good at it. And I'm like, there's a thing about being good at it, and there's something about, when it's time to move on from
Right,
something and spread your wings and do something different. And I think that being in the event space for so many years has made it so that I'm like, I think I'm good. Like, I think I'm
right.
really good.
You are.
Yeah, like I think I've done what I set out to do. And so yes, this will be the last event that I host. I still plan on doing some connecting through community events in the future, where
Uh-huh.
we team up with local nonprofits. But Social Connect is really just it's happy hour. It's happy
Mhm.
hour with good people, business
Right.
professionals and entrepreneurs. Everything's included in your ticket. So it's really just to show up and just have fun and connect. And I do have a panel coming up. So my
Yeah.
Success Over Struggle panel is featuring Lloyd Hopkins with Million Dollar Teacher Project and James Christensen from Gateway Bank and Misty Cortez with the Marketing Coach. And I always love that because it's what I love. It's just like
Right.
you with process. It's me with storytelling and being able to pull stories out of people that you might be like, that person has it all figured out. Well, I'm here to tell you none of us do. Maybe you think that now, but we didn't always. And
Right.
so, yeah, so that like I said is coming up, and people can grab tickets at socialconnectphx.com. And yeah, it's good
Yeah.
times.
But it will morph. We already know it's going to morph. So
Mm-hmm.
so my little shout out and thank you and Britt and Anthony and Erin and D. Scott Smith have jumped in to rescue me at last minute because
Oh.
next week on Tuesday, we actually have LinkedIn Local, Mary Fane Brandt and I, who you introduced us to. So that was another great example of community. Once you realize that both Mary and I have been LinkedIn Local hosts in totally different cities in California, didn't know each other, but you knew us both. And when I moved to Tempe, you made that connection, and here we are. Next week, Mary and I will be hosting our sixth event.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely learned a lot of things along the way, and some things we've got better at, and some things we would probably not want to repeat. So, but that's
You
all
live and
about
learn.
yeah, live and learn. So yeah, so LinkedIn Local has been my thing. But I think the other key thing that, around the collaboration, people, don't think competition. Like there are some
Mhm.
people that look at maybe you and I and think, well, you guys are competing in the event space, local event space. Actually, we're not competing. We're actually mutually beneficial collaborators with each other
Mhm.
because We collaborate on the dates. We collaborate around theme. I mean, we just make sure that we don't tread on each other's sweet spot,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can collaborate. You can still be friendly, competitive, but collaboration is key, right? And
Yeah.
that's how it
And
all works.
And what I'll say with that too, Bruce, is my events are typically in the East Valley, and
Right.
this one you're taking it to the
Right.
West Valley, which is a whole new audience
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Arizona is so, do you want to drive to get to an event or do you want to stay in your pocket? And like
Right.
Yolanda is saying, like it's really about community and where do you do your business?
Right.
And if you're not driving an hour to get to an event, sometimes you want to find something that's closer to you. So I always look at it as here are opportunities. So
Right.
I've shared your event with other people who have bought tickets to it, and I know it's
Yeah.
vice versa. It happens where people come to Social Connect because of yours and Mary's posts, and yeah, it's all about the collaboration, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, more importantly, it's about the conversations that then occur in person, because we both enjoyed leveraging off that, not only for time but for interconnecting,
Mm-hmm.
and I know yourself, you've actually gotten other partners and clients through each other's event, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And then my new event is, going to be behind me. It's not live yet, but this is what they call Digital. So that screen on the end of the room there, this is actually my Connect room in my 3D HQ. That screen is eventually going to become a portal to all sorts of new things,
Very cool. I like
new
it, Bruce.
things to come.
New
And
things.
oh, yeah, mind blowing. Finished my strategy call with Charlene last night. So yeah, pretty mind blowing. And so more to come on that, but it's going to give me the opportunity to leverage off of like online events like this. It's an
Mm-hmm.
event you and I do in a live stream, but
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, how can we involve groups as well as in person? They're called digiphysical, digital and physical events, and actually, there are some industries that are really pioneering that through the Omniverse City. I just saw actually a digiphysical fashion show. It was
Mm.
unbelievable.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
just amazing. So yeah, so there's some cool things coming in the Omniverse City, and even though I'm standing still here, this other Bruce, this other guy, he moves around. And,
Yeah, in his
yeah,
blue hoodie.
my blue hoodie. Well, it's my younger me.
The younger me. Oh.
All right. So, any other last thoughts? And then I don't know if you've seen my couple outtakes, but I'll do a couple outtake videos so that you don't run away.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, if we're talking about brands,
Yeah.
one thing that I actually want to give a big shout out to Salita Roberts out of Georgia.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
posted something. She posted something, and it's got me thinking. It's actually a post that I want to write too about how your style has a story. Your style
Oh,
has a story, and I posted something yesterday. I was on a vodcast, so think of it as a podcast but video version of it.
uh-huh.
And the host Daryl Snow, shout out to
Mhm.
Daryl, he named our podcast "Becoming Wonder Woman," and I just was like, oh, okay. And he actually pulled the picture, Bruce, if you remember, of when
Yeah, of
Louise sent us those bobbleheads, and I
course.
got a Wonder Woman bobblehead. And so I just in the post talked about how I've gotten so many Wonder Woman gifts from so many people on LinkedIn, clients, Facebook, things like that, of people who just again perceive me as Wonder Woman. And
Hmm.
it really has, like you said with Gracie, that really has become a very big part of my brand without me even being involved in it,
Yeah,
truthfully, because it wasn't something that I came out and said, oh, I'm Wonder Woman. Everybody start calling me Wonder Woman. It was more of like someone thought that that's what I reminded them of. And it just kind of spiraled from that. And the one
right.
thing that I wanted to share even in this post is that, I ended up wearing a pair of Wonder Woman shoes to an event. And I say, like, can your shoes give you a return on investment?
Yeah.
And I love that story because it did. It gave me an almost 6,000% return on investment from wearing a pair of shoes that caught attention.
Yeah.
And so I just love that. I love that Salita said that your style shares a story too. And your style is also just a great conversation starter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah.
for you, Bruce. Hey, Bruce, I always see you in the blue shirt. Why?
Why?
And then you would tell the story of you and
Right.
Gracie.
Yeah, and I do, and it's all true, you know. And yeah, so the I was about to bridge something together. That oh yeah, so number one, I love Salida as well, and I talked with her a long, long time ago. So that
Mm-hmm.
reminds me, I need to reach out back out to her. I'm sure she would be a wonderful live stream guest
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
she's up for it. So she's very talented. And yeah, some of the other stuff around, you know, just summarizing your brand, it is about the story, and it's about all of the fabric that goes with that to touch into, you know, styling, you know, if it, and it just is, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is
Yes.
what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hang there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a couple of video outtakes. I'm gonna do the serious one and then the fun one. So I'm
Okay.
thinking the fun one. I'm not sure. So this is serious, Brucey, first.
Serious Brucey.
You're frustrated that you have no time and you just hate it. You lost your mind. You're running around the kids and the spouse, and the business that was once your passion has got you burnt out. So, consult with Bruce, the guy in the blue shirt. He'll help you find the truth so that you can do you first. See, it's all about simpler, faster, better, so you can save massive amounts of time and money instead of longing for the day where you can finally kick your feet up. Do yourself a favor. Call up Bruce. He'll tell you about process cleanup.
You remember that from Devin?
I do. I do. He has such an amazing voice too. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll just keep talking, Devin.
So the piece I was going to link together, it came back to me while I was watching, is my conversation with Charlene. Charlene was really pushing me hard yesterday about, but Bruce, what makes you unique? Unique, you know. And we had a long conversation, convoluted, and in the end, I just said to her, "Well, Charlene, you know, I'm a really good professional cat herder," and she said, "Oh my God, that's it." She can visualize. And I said, "Have you seen the cat herder video?" And she said, "No, there is actually a video called, you know, being a professional cat herder." So, so every time I'm not sure what my uniqueness is, in fact, I sent it to our internal customer team this week because everyone was getting like, you know, what are we supposed to be doing? I said, "We're professional cat herders," you know, and it's like, what does that mean?
So funny.
So if you've not seen the video, I'll put it in the comments there. Being a professional cat herder, then that's what my unique talent is. So,
Professional cat herder. I did not know that about you.
yeah, herding cats. You know, we can all visualize how difficult that is, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, not being a cat person, being a dog person, I'm trying to visualize it.
Corralling dogs then. All right, so here's the fun thing. You said about Devin's voice. So I said to Devin, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we did a rap song? So here we go. We ended up creating 3 spaces, which people are going to be able to see. And we ended up with spaces called connect and shop and play.
You don't want to miss out, that's all I'm gonna say. The right place, the right time, the right tech. In the omniverse is where I place my bet.
Connect and shop and play.
Imagine having Google stocks back in the day when you got up on the ground floor. Pennies to the dollar, this is opportunity calling, so you better yell holla.
Oh, that's cool. Is that Devin in the video or no?
That's Devin. Yeah.
It is Devin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both has his avatar and in person. And,
Yeah.
And the lady avatar teleporting into my store is Charlene.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. And the teleportation works as well now. So Cool. We were teleporting all around the city last night.
You must be tired, Bruce, teleporting all
Oh,
around the city.
that's right. I was teleporting all the way around New York City last night.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. Love it. Thanks, Yolanda. Yeah, I love it too. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you. I'll see you on Tuesday about
Yeah.
3:45 with another bestie, Britt. So Britt will
Mm-hmm.
bring some of her beautiful energy with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're driving up together, so we will be there. Happy to help.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious you can both reach us on LinkedIn. If you're seeing this as a replay and you have any branding specific questions, then I know Tisha loves to answer those. She's a wealth of knowledge. If you have any process questions, or you want me to come help you corral your cats, or be a cat herder inside of your processes, I'm pretty good at making discombobulated processes a little bit more organized. So, all right, Tisha, hang for a minute. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone for commenting.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you.